You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You'd be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much.
Today I wanted to do a quick video on a theory that I think is really interesting and something that I think really makes a lot of sense, and it also features everyone's favorite villain, Toga. This video does feature spoilers for the manga, but if you go watch my Toga Awakens or Quirk video, you should be completely caught up, so click that card in the top right if you'd like to know all the info that you need for this video. Before we get into it, I want to remind you guys that you can follow me on Twitter at @VocalPineapple, and you can hit that bell icon to get a non-annoying notification whenever I upload, so you never miss out on my videos and you don't miss weird ones like this one. With that said, let's get into this theory after that intro. Hit it! Me do a couple videos theorizing on characters that might be related in this series before. That's not something that's new to the channel, and you can check out my Monoma and Deku videos where I go through the theories that both of these kids are all for one's children, but casting those fairly unlikely theories aside, I think we've landed on something here that's actually pretty interesting, and it involves two characters that have actually never met, Monoma and Toga. You see, there's seemingly no connection between these two, and neither has ever talked about the other. But let's really think about it real quick. If you take the two of these and put them in a room and start to compare and contrast them, there's actually a lot of things that link them. Toga and Monoma are both blondes living in Japan, and often this is something that's notable because in media the trope is that natural blonde hair isn't something that you see often in Japan. Usually you'll find that blonde residents in anime either have a wig, they've dyed their hair, or they have a foreign parent, which was also part of the reason that a lot of people speculated that All Might has an American parent. The point is, the trope of blonde-haired characters in a Japanese school is meant to imply that their heritage is somewhat foreign, and this is even the case with the pony girl in Class 1B, who is literally from America and has blonde hair if I remember correctly. So here we have these two blonde kids that are always smiling, but that's a surface level similarity, sure. Like let's look at both of them individually. Toga is 17, so she's a little bit older than Monoma, and we know that thanks to the current League of Villains vs. Quirk Liberation Army arc, that she is the first daughter of the Toga family. Now, we haven't really seen much of Toga's early life, but from what we've seen, her parents have a really nose-up, I'm better than you mentality. Curious says that the family is actually fairly prestigious, so that implies that they're rich, and that tells you everything you need to know about their behavior because once again, we know the tropes about how rich parents act in anime. They pushed her to be a normal girl, they did her hair for her, and they pretty much tried to control everything about who she was. Because Toga stabbed her crush on the day of middle school graduation, she brought extreme shame to her family and their name, but thanks to Curious and the flashbacks we've been getting, we know that her name isn't actually Himiko. That's just an alias that she uses. We know this because her name was blacked out during the news recordings, and that's to hide her true name for some reason, which was extremely suspicious to me because Himiko Toga being her name is fine. It didn't need to be a fake name because she kept her family name Toga, so it's not like she was trying to hide who she was. It's more like she rejected the name her parents had given her and decided that she was Himiko from now on, which fits in line with Toga basically adopting new identities. Of course, the identity that she uses every day is going to be one of her choosing instead of the ones that her parents casted upon her. But it's really interesting here to remember that she is the first daughter of the Toga family, but if that family felt like they were under a lot of shame because of that name, they might have changed their last name completely and changed it to something else. So we know that Toga comes from a wealthy family, she's the eldest daughter, which implies that there's another daughter or at least more siblings, and Horikoshi goes out of his way to not show us her parents by having them talk to the news about being disgraced through a PA system. So you know how paranoid I am. I mean, I see that Horikoshi is hiding characters and not letting us see their face, and I start getting really suspicious. Toga changed her name, the name gets blacked out, and we're suddenly learning more about Toga's family, but Horikoshi hides them from us so we don't actually get to see them. Why? Well, in the last arc, which is pretty much the same as this arc, but the students were fighting each other in training to get their power-ups, we got a bit of backstory for Monoma. Monoma is a character that has always acted like a spoiled brat and carries himself very much like a spoiled rotten kid who's never faced any sort of challenge in his life. We learn that there's a little bit more to it than that because there's a weight on his shoulders that he's been facing his entire life. His quirk allows him to copy other people's quirks, but that also means that he's literally useless if he's by himself, so he has to rely on others, which doesn't really go with Monoma's personality, so he acts like he's ruling over them and gives off that regal Joffrey kind of vibe. He's always smiling and laughing at others' misfortune, and he actually gets a decent bit of focus when he's around. I'd be willing to bet that he's the son of a prestigious family who are probably rich, and that's even reflected in his hero outfit, which is a suit and a bunch of watches. Suits and watches are pretty much icons of wealth, so you can see how this theme is sort of caked into his entire design. So Monoma is a blonde, potentially spoiled rich kid who lives in Japan. But that's not enough to draw a connection here, that's still not enough. But there is something off about Monoma, and it's something that I'm sure everyone in the fandom has noticed. There's a sort of dark, villainy, ominous nature about him, and him and Toga both have this really dangerous energy about them, even when they're just chilling out, and there's even panels of them that look really similar to each other because they both like going for surprise attacks. They definitely share this weird kind of crazy cat energy, but the main thing that they share is a similarity in their quirks. You see, Monoma's quirk is to copy other people's quirks, but Toga's quirk is a little different. Toga has to ingest someone's blood, but instead of just copying their quirk, she can copy their entire body along with their quirk, as we've recently learned. These two quirks are actually incredibly similar, and I'm sure you could see how they could both be an offshoot of two quirks that come from the same parents, so could Monoma and Toga actually be brother and sister? What's also weird is that Monoma can store multiple quirks, but he can only use one quirk at a time, while Toga can store multiple transformations depending on how many samples of blood that she's eaten, but she can only be transformed into one person at a time. In essence, Toga pretty much has a better version of Monoma's quirk, but she has a different activation method because she has to ingest blood to activate it. This theory really comes down
Hold your breath.